All right, everyone. There's an exotic disease that has begun spreading rapidly beyond its local origins. It's called oropouche or sloth fever. I may be butchering that pronunciation. I'm not 100% sure. It's carried by noceums, those little tiny gnats, midges. Noticeably, you usually don't notice when they bite you. That's why they call them an oceum because they bite you real quickly. You may not even feel anything. And the disease is mild in most cases. It causes cold-like symptoms, basically. And that's basically for 99.9% of cases all it does. But the medical community is sort of ringing the bells and tooting the horns and saying, "Oh, look at this. Oh my God, another epidemic might be leering." We've had cases. It was located generally in the Amazon, but then a few years ago, it appears to have mutated and become more transmissible. And people who travel to that general region have brought it back to other countries and then shown symptoms. So far, there's no local transmission, it seems, in the United States, and the cases are pretty much relegated to Florida. But it has spread to there. And there is every reason to believe that since it is clearly more transmissible now, that it will spread further. Since it is such a mild disease, it's not really something that people need to be particularly worried about. And there are probably a lot of other cases where people get it and they just think they have a cold. Basically, oh, I've got a cold. Well, I'll drink a little bit more water and I'll have a nice hot cup of tea later and, stay in bed. That's basically all you have to do for this kind of particular disease. My worry, though, anytime a disease, because the public has now been mentally primed to accept the idea that mutation, and I mean, this is partially right, I suppose, I'll try to explain, is like a big threat. And in one way, it is, because you could get, for example, Ebola could, evolve tomorrow and break containment, you could have another Ebola outbreak. I fondly remember the days of Ebola-chan, for example. People thought that the world was ending and stuff like that. Nature took care of it on its own, thankfully, because then you had an asymptomatic variant that was inoculating people against the disease, and so it became less of a problem, although there are still cases in much of Africa. And then they had that one weird incident where they, for some reason, chose to bring back that infected doctor to Houston. And you remember for that day, Houston looked completely empty. Like everyone locked themselves inside, fearing contagion. They actually here in Rutland, there was a nurse that had been working in, I think it was Liberia, during the outbreak, or was it Sierra Leone? It affected three countries mainly, and then Guinea. And they actually brought the nurse back here to Rutland, and everyone was kind of freaked out over that. I know I was. I'm like, ah, shit, come on. What are you doing? Treat them locally and then bring them back when they're completely asymptomatic. Sloth fever is something that also transmits to other mammals too. And it's called sloth fever for a reason. But it's not a big concern. What I worry about is that they're going to make it a big concern. People shouldn't be concerned, but they've been primed to be. Oh my God, it's a new virus. We're all going to die. Well, no, it's not a new virus. It's just that it has gone from the Amazon to other places. It's now becoming endemic around the Amazon. Part of this is due to human encroachment into that area increasingly. So you have more people potentially to be infected. They travel, they get bitten again. Somebody else gets bitten, they get infected potentially. And they're thinking that mosquitoes are a vector, but that it's not generally the case. Not actually the case. So, interesting. It's not a novel disease, although it is an exotic one. And it will spread, and it will not ultimately be probably a great big problem. It's like when they had that dengue outbreak or the outbreak of chikungunya, which has now become endemic in new areas as well. It's, again, not the kind of disease that is likely to kill a person. Although, one worrisome effect of sloth fever is that if a woman is pregnant and gets it, it is linked to birth deformities. It's linked to miscarriages and birth defects. So that would be probably the only worrisome side effect of this particular disease. But the odds of it being transmitted widely especially like in colder climates, even though, no-see-ums do exist in northern climes, the odds of it spreading locally outside of more tropical areas where the no-see-ums are obviously their populations are higher is much lower. So, we've got that going for us. But it has escaped the Amazon, so I mean, it's something to keep an eye on. I wouldn't be unlike when, a certain other disease broke out. And I warned people, hey, you might want to have a little bit of stuff on hand because things might get messy here because of public outcry, mainly because of public panic, not because of the disease itself. With this one, I don't think there's a necessary warning. I don't think that this will actually cause public panic, but the legacy media and politicians might try, and that's what concerns me the most. They may make another attempt. Oh my God, we've got to do something. We've got Bill Gates needs to bioengineer no-see-ums now and release sterile populations. They're already doing this, by the way, with certain other species to try to tamp down their numbers. The big kahuna would be if rabies ever went airborne. Thankfully, its mutation rate appears to be quite sluggish. So we've got that going for us. If that ever breaks out, it'll be like a zombie apocalypse. Then you can worry. Then the legacy media's concern would actually be something to take note of. My biggest worry, though, in all of epidemiology, is that the Chinese will develop something like that, like an airborne rabies virus, and then unleash it and wall themselves off, or something like that. And it is possible to do so. Just saying that a missile spraying aerosol and going at low altitude over a number of congested areas could kill billions of people. In fact, it would probably end the world of man as we know it. The handful of survivors will be crippled for life and few and far between. That would definitely be, I think that biological warfare is much more likely than nuclear warfare to lead to a mass catastrophe like that. That's about all. Peace out.